Remember how much you loved our first video about forgotten 90s movies? Well, guess what? We found even more hidden gems. The 90s weren't just about Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park. There were tons of smaller sci-fi movies that most people missed or forgot about. We're talking killer robots, time travel adventures, virtual reality nightmares, and some seriously weird stuff that could only come from the 90s. Get ready for 20 more forgotten sci-fi movies that'll make you want to dust off your old VCR. Let's dive in and discover some crazy films you won't believe actually exist. Freejack, 1992.
Is about to die. He is only a heartbeat away.
Let's kick things off with something totally bonkers. A movie where rock star Mick Jagger hunts down Emilio Estevez in the future. No, I'm not making this up. This is Freejack, and it's as wild as it sounds. Picture yourself watching a race car driver zooming around the track when boom! He gets zapped into the future right before a deadly crash. But here's the really messed up part. In this future, rich people can take over other people's bodies when they die. Talk about a weird way to live forever. The whole movie is like a crazy chase scene, with our confused hero running through this dark and gritty future city, trying to figure out what's going on. Every time you think it can't get weirder, it does. There's Anthony Hopkins looking super suspicious, and Mick Jagger having the time of his life playing the bad guy. Solar Crisis, 1990.
Trigger the flare, and then boom.
Same reason somebody or something.
Remember when everyone was scared about the sun exploding in the year 2000? Solar Crisis took that fear and ran with it. But instead of just another disaster movie, we got something way more interesting. The story follows this group of astronauts who have to fly super close to the sun, like dangerously close, to save Earth from getting cooked like a hamburger on a hot grill. What makes this movie special isn't just the big space mission. There's all this drama back on Earth, secret plots, and really tense moments where you're not sure if anyone's going to make it. The special effects might make you giggle now, especially when they show the sun looking like a giant angry fireball. But that's not what matters. It's the way the movie makes you feel. Mindwarp, 1992.
The rest were left behind. Turn on.
You guys ever play video games and wish you could actually live inside them? Well, Mindwarp takes that idea to a super creepy place. Bruce Campbell, yeah, the guy from Evil Dead, stars in this dark story about a future where most people spend their whole lives plugged into a virtual world. Sounds comfy, right? Well, not for long. Our main character gets kicked out of this fake paradise and has to survive in the real world, which turns out to be a wasteland full of crazy underground mutants. It's like going from playing a fun game to being stuck in a nightmare you can't wake up from. The movie gets pretty gross sometimes with all the mutant stuff, but that's what makes it fun. Plus, watching Bruce Campbell fight his way through this messed up world is always entertaining. Think Matrix meets Mad Max, but way weirder. Circuitry Man, 1990.
No longer human. Ends of the underworld.
Let me tell you about one of the strangest buddy road trip movies ever made. In Circuitry Man, we've got this android dude who teams up with a human woman to smuggle some super valuable computer chips. But wait, they're not driving on regular roads. Nope, they're cruising through underground tunnels in a post-apocalyptic America. The best part? They're being chased by this completely over-the-top bad guy who's also an android, and he's got this creepy pleasure bot sidekick. I know it sounds totally crazy, and it is. The whole movie feels like someone watched Blade Runner and thought, hey, what if we made this into a road movie with more jokes? The special effects are pretty low budget, but they make up for it with some really cool practical makeup and wild costumes. It's like a punk rock music video turned into a sci-fi movie. Class of 1999, 1990.
including 29,927 teacher fatalities. The public school system is...
Imagine your high school, but way scarier. Class of 1999 shows us a school so dangerous that they decide to use robot teachers to control the students. Great idea, right? Wrong. These robot teachers don't just give detention, they turn super violent when students misbehave. The movie stars Malcolm McDowell and Pam Grier as some of these robot teachers, and they're seriously creepy. Like, 1 minute they're writing on the chalkboard, the next minute they're going full Terminator on troublemaking teens. The whole thing takes place in this rundown future where schools are more like war zones. The special effects are cheesy in the best way possible, especially when the teachers start showing their robot parts. It's like Breakfast Club mixed with RoboCop, and somehow it totally works. This is one of those movies that's so crazy, you'll want to watch it with friends. Manndroid, 1993. Ever built something cool, only to have your best friend try to steal it? That's kind of what happens in Manndroid, but instead of a school project, it's a super advanced robot. Two scientist friends create this awesome robot that can be controlled by a person wearing a special suit. Pretty neat, huh? But then things get messy when one friend decides he wants to sell the robot to some really bad people. Before you know it, we've got robot battles, betrayals, and some seriously weird science experiments gone wrong. The robot itself looks like something you'd see in a heavy metal music video, all chrome and hydraulics, moving around like a human, but definitely not trying to look cute like other movie robots. The best scenes are when the robot goes into action, crushing things and throwing bad guys around like rag dolls. Not exactly high-tech by today's standards, but that's what makes it fun. TC 2000, 1993. If you love martial arts and robots, boy do I have a treat for you. TC 2000 stars Billy Blanks. Yep, the Tay-Bo guy, kicking robot butt in a dark future. The coolest part? He plays a cop who gets turned into a cyborg after some bad guys take him down. The whole movie is packed with crazy martial arts fights where Billy shows off his awesome kicks and punches. There's this underground city where poor people live, while rich folks stay up top in their fancy buildings. Our cyborg hero has to protect both worlds from some seriously nasty criminals. And get this, Bolo Young, the super buff bad guy from Bloodsport, shows up as one of the villains. Sure, some of the cyborg makeup looks like they bought it from a Halloween store, but watching Billy Blanks roundhouse kick evil robots makes up for everything. Cybertracker, 1994. Ever had a problem with your computer? Well, in Cybertracker, your computer might have a problem with you. Don the Dragon Wilson stars in this wild ride where the government creates robot assassins that look exactly like humans. These Cybertrackers are supposed to take out criminals, but surprise, surprise, they start targeting innocent people instead. Our hero has to fight these perfect killing machines while trying to expose the truth about who's really controlling them. The best scenes are when Don Wilson uses his real-life kickboxing skills to battle the robots. And since they look human, you never know who might turn out to be a machine. It's like someone watched Terminator and thought, what if we add more kicks? The action is non-stop, the robots are super creepy, and there's even a twist ending that'll make your head spin. Project Shadowchaser, 1992. Imagine Die Hard, but instead of Alan Rickman, the bad guy is a killer android. That's Project Shadowchaser in a nutshell. The movie takes place in this huge skyscraper where a bunch of people are held hostage by this super strong platinum blonde android who looks like he raided a rock star's closet. The fun part is watching our hero, an ex-cop who's in jail, get released to save the day because he's the only one crazy enough to take on a robot terrorist. The android is seriously tough. He throws people around like toys and shrugs off bullets like they're mosquito bites. What makes this movie special is how it mixes action movie cliches with sci-fi weirdness. Plus, the android bad guy is so over the top, you can't help but love to hate him. American Cyborg, Steel Warrior, 1993. Ready for a post-apocalyptic adventure that feels like someone described Terminator to their friends, but got some details wrong? American Cyborg. Steel Warrior is exactly that kind of movie. The world's been destroyed by nuclear war, and most people can't have babies anymore. But wait, there's one woman who can, and she's trying to get to a ship that'll take her to safety. The problem? A super tough cyborg is hunting her down, and this guy just won't quit. Luckily, she meets a mysterious hero who helps her survive in this ruined world. The whole movie is basically one long chase scene with lots of explosions, robot fights, and 90s style one-liners. The cyborg looks like he shops at the same store as Universal Soldier rejects, but that's part of the charm. It's cheesy, action-packed, and proud of it. Terminal Justice, 1996. Here's a weird one. Terminal Justice takes place in a future where people are addicted to virtual reality. But this isn't just any VR. It lets you experience life as someone else. Our main character is a cop who discovers someone's using these VR systems to commit real murders. Spooky, right? Things get super trippy when he starts diving into virtual worlds to catch the killer. Half the time, you're not sure what's real and what's fake. Kind of like if the Lawnmower Man and Basic Instinct had a baby. The virtual reality scenes are exactly what you'd expect from the 90s. Lots of weird colors, floating shapes, and graphics that look like screensavers. But that's what makes it fun to watch now. Plus, there's a twist ending that'll make you question everything you just saw. Digital Man, 1995. Get ready for one of the craziest military robot movies ever! Digital Man is about a super advanced android soldier that goes totally haywire during a test mission. Think of it like Universal Soldier meets Short Circuit, but with way more explosions. The robot looks like he's wearing leftover armor from a Power Rangers show, but don't let that fool you. This guy's seriously dangerous. He's got all these cool weapons built into his body and can even turn invisible. The army sends in their best soldiers to stop him, but it's like trying to stop a tank with a water gun. The best parts are when the robot goes full Terminator on a small desert town and nobody can figure out how to stop him. There's this great scene where he walks through a hail of bullets, like it's just a light rain. Talk about unstoppable. Warrior, 1989 to 1990. Here's a movie that's so 80s 90s it hurts, in a good way. Warrior takes us to a future where everything's gone wrong. Shocking, right? What makes this one special is our hero, a cyborg who looks like he spent way too much time at the gym, fighting against an evil corporation that wants to turn everyone into mindless robots. The whole thing plays out like a video game, with our cyborg hero punching and shooting his way through waves of bad guys to reach the final boss. The best part? Every fight scene is filled with these amazing practical effects. We're talking explosions, sparks flying everywhere, and robots falling apart in the most dramatic way possible. Sure, some of the special effects look like they were made with household items, but that's what makes it so fun to watch. It's like watching someone's awesome robot action figure collection come to life. Mars, 1996. Ever wondered what would happen if you mixed a Mars mission with a haunted house story? That's basically what Mars gives us. A team of astronauts heads to the red planet, but instead of finding little green men, they find something way creepier. The spacesuits look like they were borrowed from a Halloween store, and the Mars surface was probably shot in someone's backyard with red filters, but that's not the point. The movie gets super intense when weird things start happening to the crew. Are they going crazy from being in space too long? Is there something on Mars messing with their minds? Or is one of them hiding a dark secret? The best scenes are when they're exploring these dark caves on Mars. It's like watching a horror movie where no one can hear you scream because, well, you're on Mars. Memory Run, 1995. Imagine waking up one day in someone else's body. Sounds weird, right? Well, in Memory Run, our tough guy hero wakes up to find out he's now in a woman's body. But this isn't some comedy, it's a dark sci-fi story about identity and revenge. The main character was actually a criminal who got caught, and his punishment was getting his brain put into someone else's body. Now he or she has to figure out what's going on while being chased by all sorts of bad guys. The movie gets pretty wild with car chases, shootouts, and lots of confusion about who's who. There are some really cool scenes where our hero has to learn how to fight in a completely different body. Plus, the whole thing takes place in this gritty future where brain swapping is just another way for rich people to stay young forever. Prototype X 29. A 1992. Ready for some seriously old school robot action? Prototype X 29. A is about a military cyborg who starts questioning his orders. You know, like all good robot stories. But this one's got a twist. The robot starts having memories of his human past, and boy, does that make his bosses nervous. The cyborg looks like they covered a guy in silver paint and gave him some cheap motorcycle gear, but that's part of the charm. The best scenes are when he's fighting other robots and discovering his human side at the same time. There's this awesome moment where he has to choose between following orders and saving innocent people. Sure, the special effects budget was probably less than a used car, but the story actually makes you care about this chrome-covered hero. It's like RoboCop's smaller, less fancy cousin. Automatic, 1995. Let me tell you about Automatic. Imagine if you built the perfect robot bodyguard, but then the bad guys try to turn him into a killer. This movie stars Olivier Gruner as a robot who's supposed to protect people at this big company. He's super strong, follows the rules, and even tries to understand human jokes. Badly, which is hilarious. Everything's going fine until some criminals try to hack our robot friend and make him evil. But here's the cool part. His programming to protect humans is so strong, he fights back against the hack. There's this awesome scene where he has to protect the company president's daughter while fighting off bad guys, and you can see him struggling between his old programming and the new evil code. The action is non-stop, and even though the robot effects are pretty basic, watching this android kick bad guy butt is super fun. A.P.E.X. 1994. Ever messed something up so badly you wished you could go back in time to fix it? Well, in A.P.E.X., this scientist actually does it, and makes everything way worse. He creates these killer robots to help humanity, but surprise, surprise, they end up taking over the world instead. So he jumps back in time to stop his own invention, but things get super complicated. Every time he changes something in the past, the future gets even crazier. The robots in this movie look like walking trash cans with guns, but that's what makes them fun to watch. There's this great scene where dozens of robots are chasing people through empty streets, and it feels like a nightmare made of spare computer parts. Plus, there's all these cool time travel effects where people and things disappear because the past keeps changing. Talk about a workday gone wrong. Hiroshima, 1995. Don't let the title fool you. This isn't a history movie. Hiroshima is actually a wild cyberpunk adventure set in a future Japan where virtual reality has gone totally out of control. Think of it like The Matrix, but made way earlier and way weirder. The story follows this guy who has to enter the virtual world to save people who are stuck there, kind of like a digital rescue mission. The virtual reality scenes are exactly what you'd expect from the 90s. Lots of bright colors, weird computer graphics, and trippy effects that look like old screensavers come to life. The best part is how they mix real Japanese locations with these crazy computer worlds. Sure, some of the effects look pretty dated now, but watching people battle computer viruses in virtual Japan is just pure 90s sci-fi fun. Crossworlds, 1996. Last but definitely not least, we've got Crossworlds, a movie that proves college life can get really weird. This one stars Josh Charles as a regular college student who finds out he's actually the key to saving multiple universes. And guess who shows up to help him? Rutger Hauer. You know, the scary guy from Blade Runner? The movie is like a crazy road trip through different dimensions, with our confused hero learning how to use magical powers while running from bad guys who can jump between worlds. There's this awesome scene where they're in our world 1 second, then suddenly fighting in this crazy alternate dimension the next. The special effects for the dimension hopping look like they were made on someone's home computer, but that just adds to the charm. It's like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure met Sliders and decided to have an adventure together. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride through 90s sci-fi. If you love these forgotten gems, hit subscribe for more hidden movie treasures. Drop a comment telling me which one you want to watch first. And don't forget to check out Part 1 if you haven't already. See you in the next video.